and we are up and running. It is kind of a nice day here in the Midwest, a little bit windy, but bright and sunny. And you can really feel the arrival of spring. I mean, spring has very gracefully unfolded her all of her veils, and so we have that kind of a euphoria in the air here, and that's a lot of fun. So are you euphoric in California this morning, Stephen, or this afternoon?
Yeah, I think euphoric is one of the words I would use. Also, lots of other words probably too, but it's always an exciting place to be here.
Oh yes, yeah, and you know that conundrum with words. Words are but symbols of symbols, so they're twice removed from reality. And that's what we're trying to do, is get back to reality, where the shared mind, the shared experience, that realm where everything is absolutely transparent and there are no secret thoughts, is our target. That's what we are striving to arrive at. And in that process, we are now looking at, from the Manual for Teachers, Section 3, what are the levels of teaching? So this is going to get quite interesting, I think, because ultimately, like I said, we do want to get back to absolute non-duality, the ultimate state of enlightened consciousness. And it can be done. That is the good news. And it will be done eventually for everyone who thinks he is alone in the universe. So you want to start us off, Stephen, with that section, the first paragraph?
Yeah, sure. So the first paragraph starts off with, the teachers of God have no set teaching level. Each teaching learning situation involves a different relationship at the beginning, although the ultimate goal is always the same: to make of the relationship a holy relationship, in which both can look upon the Son of God as sinless. There is no one from whom a teacher of God cannot learn, so there is no one whom he cannot teach. However, from a practical point of view, he cannot meet everyone, nor can everyone find him. Therefore, the plan includes very specific contacts to be made for each teacher of God. There are no accidents in salvation. Those who are to meet will meet, because together they have the potential for a holy relationship. They are ready for each other. There's that plan that's always orchestrated by the Holy Spirit, right? For us to meet everyone. And although there's no specialness between people, we're not making certain people special. It is saying that from a practical standpoint, there are certain people who are going to come along our journey, right? And be more help us along the way, maybe so more so than some of the other 7 billion people on the planet.
Right. And ultimately, the thing is all about the idea of a holy relationship. And, you know, here we have to kind of draw ourselves back from that idea of, oh, I want a girlfriend, I want a boyfriend, or whatever. Because every relationship you have in life has the potential to be a holy relationship. Because within the relationship, you are penetrating that image of the ego. You're looking beyond the person as they appear to be on the earthly plane, and you're allowing their true presence to come forth. You actually are, to a degree, summoning it, in that you know, as you're interacting with that traffic cop that's pulled you over and is writing you a ticket. In your mind, you want to keep kind of focusing on the thought of, I want to see Jesus in you, Mr. Policeman. You know, and every other encounter we have in life, we want to see the Christ. We want to see the truth. So this is getting us off and running with that idea that every interaction that we have with anybody on the planet is always an opportunity not only to interact, but to teach and to learn. And what we're learning is their sacredness, their perfection. And what we're teaching is we're teaching it back to them. We're honoring them, saying, I see you as God created you. So that puts a whole different spin on relationships on every level in life.
Right, totally. I mean, looking to see beyond the appearances we're shown is the whole name of the game, isn't it? We're transcending the game more so.
Yeah, we're trying to get to a higher plateau in every relationship, and a lot of times that can be a struggle. I mean, you know, that guy down at the end of the street who you think poisoned your dog. You don't have absolute proof, but you're pretty damn sure. It's hard. You know, it's hard to work your way up to that level of forgiveness and that level of recognition that this is not real. This world never has been real, and that's why it's transient. That's why it's always changing. It's a kaleidoscope that's going off inside your mind, and there are going to be a lot of occasions when the people that show up in your life are going to be incredibly demanding and incredibly difficult to have to address without, you know, just saying, you're an asshole, get away from me, or something even worse. So that really is what the course is all about, is getting us to the point where we can resolve the appearances of there being somebody else out there besides Christ.
Yeah. So you want to read the next one?
Yeah, we're going to the second paragraph. The simplest level of teaching appears to be quite superficial. It consists of what seem to be very casual encounters, a chance meeting of two apparent strangers in an elevator, a child who is not looking where he is going running into an adult by chance, two students happening to walk home together. These are not chance encounters. Each of them has the potential for becoming a teaching, learning situation. Perhaps the seeming strangers in the elevator will smile to one another. Perhaps the adult will not scold the child for bumping into him. Perhaps the students will become friends. Even at the level of the most casual encounter, it is possible for two people to lose sight of separated interests, if only for a moment. That moment will be enough. Salvation has come. So, you know, we tend to discount and trivialize all of our interpersonal activities. We go through life in a very kind of numbed down state of mind, not realizing all of the miracles that are appearing right in front of us over and over and over again. So this is good news, basically, because it's telling you that you have the power to overcome the illusion and to live in the present moment and to share that state of grace, that state of divinity with everybody you encounter.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines from the course is actually the one you just read at the end, where it says, you know, if it's possible for them to lose sight of separate interests, if only for a moment, and this will be enough, salvation has come. Because that's so profound and so simple and so basic that I mean, you could even see just the smallest child understanding that idea and acting it out.
Yes, it is definitely something that only your resistance to it is going to inhibit you from actually practicing it, because it's not complex, it's not difficult, and it's not something that you have to go out and manage. You know, I mean, you have to live in the awareness that everything that's going on has been orchestrated for your benefit. So even getting that traffic ticket was something that on the surface appeared to be bad, but in reality was something that you needed in that moment. Not necessarily getting the ticket, but being at that place where you can see the divinity in those around you. That's the whole point of everything we're doing here.
Yeah. And so the third paragraph here says, it is difficult to understand that levels of teaching the universal course is a concept as meaningless in reality as is time. The illusion of one permits the illusion of the other. In time, the teacher of God seems to begin to change his mind about the world with a single decision, and then learns more and more about the new direction as he teaches it. We have covered the illusion of time already, but the illusion of levels of teaching seems to be something different. Perhaps the best way to demonstrate that these levels cannot exist is simply to say that any level of the teaching-learning situation is part of God's plan for atonement. And his plan can have no levels, being a reflection of his will. Salvation is always ready and always there. God's teachers work at different levels, but the result is always the same.
That again is, bringing us back to the idea that we're not the ones who are controlling this. And once we step beyond the ego, which is obsessed with control, we find that fluidity is restored to our lives. We're going from one experience to another in a very fluid way with the least amount of chaos along the journey. So, the more you are in resistance, the more you're going to find people showing up in your life who highlight that, who are a source of frustration, anger, unpleasant encounters, the desire to attack, or the fear that causes you to run away and hide. So that's the beauty of the Course, is it is all very clearly laid out for us.
Yeah, I think that coming into more acceptance with what the Course is saying goes side and side with letting the world be what it is, like we talk about a lot, like not needing to adjust or to fix the world or try to make it something other than what it was made to be, but simply like seeing it for what it is, and letting the dream progress as it will, and then letting yourself wake up to God as you will. And I think that there's even a line in the Bible, there's a part in the Bible about this that really exemplifies this idea that, like, when Jesus says, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and then give unto God what is God's, basically sort of thing where it's like, don't resist things in this world. You won't return back to your heavenly state of mind by resisting the world.
No, actually, that entrenches you in it even deeper. Mm-hmm. So the whole point here is simply to forgive, to witness and forgive. And by doing that in the absolute highest sense, you are taking control of and changing. Because every time you forgive a situation, you have rewritten the past and altered the future. So the only way you can really control is by the surrender to the act of forgiveness. And a lot of people have a hard time with that. They want to impeach somebody, or they want to put somebody in prison for the rest of their life, or punish. And if you're out there punishing and proclaiming justice and all that stuff, you're probably not going to be that happy. That peace that passeth understanding is probably going to be very transient as it trickles through your fingers like sand at the beach.
Yeah, and forgiveness is the most natural thing in the world, right? I mean, forgiveness is easy. It's just the ego voice that wants to resist it that's challenging for us, right?
Well, yeah, and memory, the whole thing of memory. Oh, I remember what you did to me 28 days ago, and I'm going to get even. Well, sorry, but all of this is an illusion. So, and I know that a lot of people implode with that kind of an approach, but that's just simply the truth. So everything that you're remembering is like remembering a dream and then wanting to get even for something that happened in a dream that you had. So, you show up on your neighbor's doorstep with a shotgun, and that's probably not going to work very well for you, simply because you're holding on to something that never actually happened. And
Right.
that's kind of like Alice and that rabbit going down the hole. Anyway, going to the next section, it says each teaching learning situation is maximal in the sense that each person involved will learn the most that he can from the other person at that time. In this sense, and in this sense only, we can speak of levels of teaching. Using the term in this way, the second level of teaching is a more sustained relationship in which, for a time, two people enter into a fairly intense teaching-learning situation and then appear to separate. As with the first level, these meetings are not accidental, nor is what appears to be the end of the relationship a real end. Again, each has learned the most that he can at the time, yet all who meet will someday meet again, for it is the destiny of all relationships to become holy. God is not mistaken in his son. So that person that, you burned their house down and ran away and have been pissed off at for the last 25 years, somewhere down the road, you're going to meet that individual again, and that relationship is going to turn out to be a real mind bender, because you'll discover a deep level of love and appreciation for the truth that you're finally able to perceive in that person.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you have to come to terms with the fact that you burned your own house down in a way. You affected that person, and that affected you in the same exact way. And so you have to come into that place where that split was in your mind, right?
Yeah. Well, even David Byrne sings about this, I mean, Talking Heads, that was a band that I find over and over again, different tracks from their library of music are pure Course in Miracles, and I'm sure they were completely unaware of that, but it's out there, it's around us, it's in every corner.
Yeah, if only you have eyes to see. And so the very last paragraph of this section says, the third level of teaching occurs in relationships which, once they are formed, are lifelong. These are teaching learning situations in which each person is given a chosen learning partner who presents him with unlimited opportunities for learning. Well, this sounds like a good deal. These relationships are generally few because their existence implies that those involved have reached a stage simultaneously in which the teaching learning balance is actually perfect. This does not mean that they necessarily recognize this. In fact, they generally do not. They may even be quite hostile to each other for some time and perhaps for life. Yet, should they decide to learn it, the perfect lesson is before them and can be learned. And if they decide to learn that lesson, they become the saviors of the teachers who falter and may even seem to fail. No teacher of God can fail to find the help he needs. So there's a lot of, I think that's a really beautiful distinction, that there are different levels of teaching learning situations in this world between people. I mean, that there are teaching learning situations that could be lifelong, and that they could appear to be hostile the whole time might not be as comforting. But if we just remember in truth that, that there is learning happening through that still.
Well, and all it takes is one of the two people to start the process of awakening. And, as soon as that occurs, as soon as somebody who has come to that higher vibration either through reading A Course in Miracles or Joel Goldsmith's work or Mary Baker Eddy's work or Gautama Buddha's work or whatever. As soon as you arrive at that point where there is that recognition that the only problem that needs to be resolved is the problem that you created in your own mind, and that you can surrender, you can release it, you can forgive, and allow the truth to become apparent, that is an incredibly powerful position that you have arrived at. So it really is all about relationships. That's what the goal of the Course has repeated over and over again. And it's not about acquisition. It's not about saving the whales or moving mountains or all of those things that we get caught up in. The whole thing about life is based on relationships and being able to give allowance to those around us so that we can see them as God created them, not as we tried to reinvent them to be.
Yeah, that's a hugely powerful reminder. I mean, I can even say in my personal life that, my relationships with people are the highest catalyst for growth. They're like just remembering every single connection that I've had with everyone, and like being able to hold all these different connections with different people. It's like all these different learning situations, all these different opportunities to come back to that truth and awareness.
Very true. So we've finished the entire third section, which is kind of miraculous into itself, because this is so direct. We're getting so much information here, and it's condensed for us. And that's one of the beauties of looking at the manual for teachers, is because we can skip all of the peripheral embellishments and jump right into the core. So in 1 week, we will undoubtedly pick up with the next section from a teacher's manual. And do you feel different now, Stephen, after having our discussion today? Did that somehow act like a brick in the side of the head?
Not so much a brick in the side of the head, more just like watching like a really light feather just go on down and eventually just drift to the bottom of the sea, kind of like a soothing witnessing perspective.
Well, that's wonderful. Yes. Yeah. And I will mention to anybody who's tuned into us that we have a library of videos. This one's number 33 or something. Anyway, we're building a library, so you can go to my YouTube channel and check it out, and subscribe if you feel inclined. And more importantly, give it consideration, because I think that these dialogues that we're having are part of the presence, and the presence is where the truth emanates from. So hopefully it will be a blessing for everybody who joins us.
It is for me anyway. Yeah.
Well, Stephen, I will see you in 1 week.
Okay, Chris, I'll see you then. Have a great week.
You too. Bye.
Okay, bye.